Hello, my beautiful children of the stars and spiritual seekers. Today we're going to talk about the false light, about negative guides, and about psychic addiction. And this is part 2 in a series of 2 videos. I will link the first one up there. And that one is about 7 rules that you must follow to stay safe in your spiritual practice. So take a look at that video if you haven't seen it. Those who are new, welcome. I'm Natasha, Cosmic Empress, wishing you beautiful holidays. We're doing this within the time frame of the winter solstice, where the nights are very long, where it's very dark here on the northern hemisphere anyway. So I felt inspired and guided to make these series of videos, how you can stay safe. Specifically because recently, in the past few months, a lot of clients of mine have been misguided, have been contacted, or have gotten messages, or have gotten into communication with negative guides, with false guides. So this can happen to the best and the most enlightened spiritual seekers. And this actually happens a lot to people who are very, very psychic and very intuitive. Because if you are someone who is very open, who has communication to the other side, who is a natural channeler, or who can receive messages very easily, who's very, very open, it means that you're open to the good, but also to the bad. And you can really fall prey to negatives, to negative messages, to negative entities, to negative souls, to those who are trying to drag you down, especially if you're a light worker. I mean, we know we're in the ascension process. And we know that the negatives who will not ascend with us don't want this change to happen. They want Earth to remain a very nice, polarized 3D plane where they can, play around, where they can live, where they can attach, where they can use the energy of the poor souls they're influencing to survive. Like, they don't want us to ascend. So especially if you're a light worker and very, very psychic, you will be very prone to this, what I'm going to talk about. So stay tuned till the end. This is really, really important information. As always, if you are interested in more, in diving deeper into this, in the description box below, I have resources, free resources. I do personal Akashic Record reading, clearing, and healing work. And I also am going to offer some new courses about Starseed Awakening in the new year. So take a look there in the description box. Okay, so let's get started. False guides and the false light. Now, we all want to connect really badly. We need direction, we need guidance. We want to do things right. We want answers. We want answers. And there are answers out there. There are answers out there. Answers from your own team of spirit guides, from the angels, from your galactic guides, from your guardian angel. But there are also answers from the negative side, from the negatives. We know that we live in a polarity world, right? 3D is still very polarized. That means we have access, and access to us is there from the negative polarity, from the negative astral realms, negative entities, negative energies, demons, all that has access to us very easily, and we have access to them, as well as us being able to have access to the positive side. So often what happens when we really want to connect and we're very psychic and open, and we are not very practiced, and we haven't really studied spirituality for a long time, or we haven't established certain rules and safety mechanisms, often when we search, the negatives come and they start talking to us. They start telling us things, and they exist posing as positive spirit guides, or even as Christ, or even as the light. And that is really, really true. This is happening to so many people, especially if you are new, okay? So there's a few things that can really give you indications if you're getting false messages. In the chat here in my videos, I've seen a few times, oh, my guides are lying to me. They're giving me false information. Your spirit guides will not lie to you. They will not give you false information. And the question is, how are you communicating with your spirit guides? And that is really, really important. So if you think your spirit guides are lying to you and there's weird stuff going on, it's not going to be your light team of spirit guides or angels. They're not going to lie to you. Also, if you are asking a lot of information, if you're constantly trying to connect, asking, especially if you're using tools like this, if you're trying to connect your team of light, you're not very experienced, you're like saying, okay, talk to me, yes or no, and you ask yes or no questions, you're going to get false information, because using this without having really studied the pendulum, the frame of reference, without really knowing what you're doing, without having established safety procedures, maybe having had an activation, being initiated, how to do this properly. If you just kind of whip out a pendulum and start asking questions, you're going to get a lot of negatives who are just waiting to give you answers. Okay, so I would not recommend talking to your spirit guide team or to your guides via the pendulum without really knowing what you're doing. Also, I wouldn't recommend using tarot cards to ask your spirit guides things if you haven't done a course and haven't done the proper training to use the cards. Okay, so if you are someone who really, really wants to know information and you're using different tools to access your spirit guide team, I would be very, very careful first of all. Now, spirit guides will never tell you what to do, all right? So if you have voices or messages or any communication of guides telling you, you must do this, you must do that, they're not your guides. Your spirit guides don't have the authority to tell you what to do. They don't. We can ask for guidance and they will give us impulses. They will even show us things, but they will not say you must do this and you must do that, because they cannot breach the universal law of free will and choice. So if you're saying, oh, but my guides are telling me to do this, I have to do this, they're not your guides. These are false guides. Another indication is if you feel very addicted to receiving guidance. I've had cases of several clients of mine who every day they can never make a decision without asking their guides. They're constantly trying to get information. What should I do? What should I do? Tell me, what should I do? And it's a very desperate, it's a very it's a very low vibrational, very anguished way of asking for help. And when you're in this vibration, you're not going to get clear guidance. And if you feel addicted and all the time you have to ask before you make a decision, that type of addiction is an indication of a negative entity running a program in you and giving you information. Your spirit guides are never going to make you feel very addicted. They're never going to, feed this desperation in you. So if you are communicating with the other side and you think you're talking to your spirit guides, but you're getting answers that are like very direct, do this, do this, do this. And specifically if you are getting messages that are kind of wreaking havoc in your life, that are telling you to do things that you feel is a little bit strange or that's a little bit off, especially if it has to do with your relationships, or telling you, oh, this is not your twin flame, you have to look for your twin flame elsewhere. Things like that, those are not your spirit guides, because your spirit guides would never tell you to do anything that disrupts your life, that hurts other people, or that makes you feel strange. Okay, so if you feel a little bit strange or anguished or addictive, if you have that type of energy, then it is not your spirit guides who are communicating with you. Okay, your true team of light, your heavenly team of light, which are your angels, spirit guides, guardian angels, galactic team of light, of the light of divine love, light and truth. When you communicate with them, they will give you answers and messages that resonate with your heart deeply. What they tell you, you kind of already know. It's like that. When you are asking for messages or signs, then they will come in a gentle way, in a harmonious way. It'll make you feel completely at peace. It will totally make sense. It won't raise a question like, oh, really? It won't do that, because your positive heavenly guidance always resonates with what is best for you in the moment, what you want to do. It will always bring more harmony into your life and not disruption. So that's another way you can tell. So it's very, very important to really listen to the feeling when you're communicating with the other side. And if you have any doubt, if you're kind of feeling a bit strange, like if you have a vision or get a message or hear voices that are telling you something and you're kind of not feeling really, really good, you're not feeling like this, then it's not your spirit guides. Those are false guides. Now you have to know, sadly, that we are living in 3D. We are. And that's why, sadly, there are demons, I'm going to say it, demons and negative souls who are there, who are just waiting. They're just waiting to connect with you. So when you go down in your vibration, when you're in anguish, when you're a little bit upset, or when you have negative intentions and you're asking for guidance, they're going to swoop in and they're going to really answer you, and they're going to try to attach to you and run programs in you. And so especially if you want to kind of abdicate responsibility for making your own choices, if you just want to, let someone else or the other side tell you what to do, who you are, who your twin flame is, who your soulmate is, if you should get together with this person or not, which path to take, if you really rely so much on the other side on making choices for you, you're going to get into trouble, because the negative entities are masters of trying to fill that void in you. They're masters of trying to wheedle themselves into your life because you want guidance, and because universal law is that you must make your own choices and you must take responsibility for your life. It's so important. You have to do that. And if you don't want to do that, then the negatives, they're not following any rules. They're not following the rules of the universe, that rule of free will and choice. They're glad to fill that void. If you want to abdicate responsibility, if you want to just be told what to do, then they'll gladly swoop in there and tell you what to do. So it's really, really important that in your life, you start being more empowered. You start looking at what you want. Where do you want to go? You have to start. You can't just say, oh, I don't know, and be paralyzed. I know sometimes it's really, really hard. What is my soul purpose? Why am I here? Where should I go? It's hard to figure that out, but there is no shortcut, because no one up there of the light is going to go down and really just tell you exactly what to do. That's part of your path in life. That's part of your mission and purpose, is to figure out who you are and where you're going. So it's really important to start really empowering yourself and slowing down and calming down. So if you really don't know what to do, if you desperately want that guidance, just start by connecting to the light. Just ask for the divine light to come in and to bring you peace. And you have to start just finding a little bit of peace and calm and tranquility, and start holding focus in silence. Start a little bit of a meditation practice. Start a yoga practice. Start a practice for you to first come to peace. And then once you're in a place of peace, you can really start moving forward and seeing where you want to go. And of course, you can ask for divine guidance. I often in my videos say, in the beginning of each day, I ask my spirit guide to come and I ask for divine guidance. I ask for harmony and synchronicities to happen. But they're not coming in and telling me, Natasha, you must do this, Natasha, you must do that. They're not telling me that. I know exactly what I want, right? I have my path in front of me, true and clear. I have figured out what my soul purpose is. I know what I want to do. I have a clear intention. And then my spirit guide team helps me manifest that clear intention by giving me little signs, by giving me knowings, by giving me opportunities, by making the path smooth. But it's always me who makes that choice in the end, right? So if you want divine guidance, ask for divine guidance and ask for your angelic team to help you manifest your intention. But what you want, you have to figure that out. I'm sorry. There's no shortcut around that. You have to figure out what it is that you want. And like I said, the negatives and the demons and the negative souls are very quick to go in there to tell you what you want, to tell you what you need to do. And it's not going to be good. Believe me, it's not going to be good. So you have to become clear and strong and powerful within yourself first before you start meddling too much with the other side. Because if you're in a very volatile state, and if you're just asking and you don't know, you're all over the place, then sadly, that's an opportunity for the false guides to come in. Now, I hope that is making a little bit of sense, because these are all very fine lines. This is like fine tuning. But to sum up how you can tell if there's a false guide telling you something, if you feel a rush of excitement, if you're feeling like flustered or anguished or like riled up, if your emotions are not calm and clear and smooth and peaceful, if they're not that, then those are false guides, right? Now that's a good summary. Your true heavenly team of light will make you feel happy and excited, but in a flowing, in a peaceful way. You will always have this feeling of peace and alignment at your core when you are receiving divine guidance from your heavenly team of light. Now let's talk about one other thing, which actually a friend of mine, Sarrah Chapman, I'm going to link her channel below. She's amazing. She does the same work as I do in the Akashic Records. And what she saw, what she pointed me towards is that if I see it as a visual, like this is us on the earth and around us are the astral realms, the positive and the negative astrals. And the negative astral realms in 4D, negative 4D, there is a place of the false light. So I feel this has been created through religion. And of course, the negatives have taken advantage of religion and of people really wanting to abdicate responsibility to follow the rules of something, and mostly of different religions. So there has been this false light created in negative 4D, and I see it like as a kind of a light, but it's like a gray, dim kind of negative mass where a lot of people who are religious are tapping into. So they are not tapping into the divine light, which is in 5D, which is working with creator source, right? 5D, divine love, light, and truth, the high vibrations, the team of light. It's not that. They are actually tapping into the false light. So when you see people who are fanatically religious and who are, and this has happened throughout all of history, and I feel that a lot of negative soul groups have created this. And right now I'm actually getting a message from my Galactic Council, and they are showing me the Draconian soul groups. They're showing me the Greys. They're showing me the Anunnaki. They're showing me negative soul groups throughout history who have come into power and who have stepped into positions in the Catholic Church, in all the different types of religions that there were on earth up to today, who have stepped into positions of power, who have presented and created this false light in negative 4D, and who have led people to that. So all the strife and suffering, and if you think about the Middle Ages, what the Catholic Church did, all the, the witch burnings, all those things that happened, those were people, followers, who were looking for God, looking for guidance, but who were guided to the false light and who were tapping into energies of trauma and fear and control. And you may still know people like that today who are very, very religious, but who are very like rigid, and who are actually working with energies of fear and oppression and, oh, we're going to go to hell, like that type of thing. That type of energy is not of the true light. That type of energy is not of God or the true Christ or the true Buddha or whatever religion you are following. That is the false light. So I'm just thinking a little bit of Doreen Virtue. You know what happened to Doreen Virtue. She used to be a metaphysical leader of the world, and then she turned completely against that. Now she's only following Jesus. So I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad, but I feel that either she was before that, before she turned, you know, being attacked by a lot of negative forces when she was working with all these esoteric, different, non-religious forces and energies, or perhaps she has tapped into the false light. I feel there is a connection between the false light, negative entities, negative belief systems, and Doreen Virtue. So she has now completely turned. And if you see her, I'm looking at her sometimes when she's doing her videos, something feels a little bit off. So I'm just saying that even the most enlightened teachers can get entangled with negative entities and with the false light, and can tap into something that may feel like divine truth and divine wisdom and divine teachings, but that is actually negative. That is a false light. And this is a terrible thing, because I feel a lot of people on the globe today and in history were led to this false light by those negative soul groups, right? So that is another thing. So if you are following a religion or a tradition, I'm just getting another download. I feel that part of your teaching or part of what you're following can be the divine, but part of it can also be the false light. So it can be that you are getting mixed messages. It can be that you are getting teachings from above and from below, that you are affected by the negative, by the false light, but that you're also tapping into the divine. So it's a little bit of a complicated matter, what I'm talking about today. So what I'm saying is, if you feel that you're being guided, either by God, by angels, by spirit guides, by whatever you believe in, you just have to really connect, slow down, connect to your heart. What does that feel like? Does it feel like fear and oppression? Does it feel like a little bit of a manic excitement? Does it feel like you're addicted and you have to always connect? Does it feel a little bit off and you're wondering, wow? Does it feel like sometimes they're lying to you and sometimes they're not? Then it's the false light, or it's negative entities, it's negative guidance that you are receiving. Or does your guidance feel beautiful and peaceful, just like this? Do you feel good? Is it on a basis of love and compassion and harmony? Or do you feel pulled into different directions? I don't know what to believe, this or this or this. What does it feel like? If it doesn't feel full of love and purity and peace, like that feeling that I just showed you, if it doesn't, then it's not. Then it's not of the light. Then you are being falsely guided, or partially falsely guided, or you may have some entities attaching to you who try to wheedle themselves in there. So I'm telling you that the spiritual path is not an easy one, and you have to be very vigilant. You have to be very aware of what it is you're doing, of how you are feeling. In the end, it's always your higher self, your own higher self, that has to bring you back to center and make you aware of where you are and who you're dealing with, right? So I hope this video is making sense to you. Now, another indication that you're being misled is psychic addiction. You know what I'm talking about? Always wanting to get more and more readings. I need a reading. Either reading for yourself all the time, feeling compelled to get out your cards or your pendulum or any other method to get answers before you make a decision. That is bad, and that's an indication that you're being misled. Because, as I mentioned before, your true angelic guidance from above or your spirit guides will not tell you what to do. Okay? You can ask for future timelines. You can ask for indications of a problem to help you figure out what to do. In the end, it's you who have to make that choice. Specifically, if you always ask about the same subject, if you go to one reader and then another reader and then another reader, and then keep asking about the same thing, you're going to get false information. And if you're starting to get really addicted to asking the other side for help before you do something, it's an indication that you have a program running. Because psychic addiction is really specific to negative entities. Negative entities make you feel addicted. So that's why if you have a lot of addictions in your life, you most likely have a few negative entities attached that are running programs, no matter what kind of addiction it is. And part of that is also psychic readings addiction, that you always have to ask, that you can't make a decision by yourself, that you can't make a choice by yourself. So, like I said, I do have my angelic team always around me, but they're not telling me what to do. They're not. I know what I want, and I choose what I want, and I see them as high vibrational beings of light that are there around me, but not in the foreground. They're there helping me more in a subtle way. They're subtly opening opportunities for me, or giving me little impulses, or helping connect me to my own higher self, to my own soul. That's how I receive my divine guidance. Of course, when I am, doing a reading for YouTube, when I specifically connect to channel information for the collective, that's something different. But I'm talking about if you are addicted to getting readings and information for yourself, for your personal life, for your personal choices. So if that's happening, almost for certain, you will have some negative entities attached, or you are really getting misled and getting off the track. And the energy of addiction is a very low vibrational energy. And again, if you lower your vibrations to a certain level, then you become visible for the negatives to attack and attach and to answer that need, to answer that addiction. Your angels and guides will not come and answer your addiction. They will not do that because that's not beneficial for you, right? Another indication that you're getting false guidance is the Messiah complex. Now, I get many emails every single day, right? So just so you know, if you're watching this, if I don't always answer your emails or your messages, it's because I cannot keep up. I get a lot of messages, and I have in the past year gotten a lot of emails or messages of souls who think that they are Jesus, that they're Messiah, that they're the sacrificial lamb, that they're like a really important Messiah come to save the world. And I can always tell if it's like a very desperate, it's a kind of an energy that is over the top. So if you're getting those kinds of messages, you're most likely being misled. I mean, all the positive spiritual YouTubers I know, none of them think that they're the Messiah or like a super important person or, someone who comes to save the rest of the world. We are all ascended masters now. You and I are no different. We are all souls who have come here to help this earth ascend. We are all equally important. The only difference is that some of us choose to put ourselves out there, to really study spirituality and to do this type of work. Others may do this work in a different way in their communities, in their families. We are all equally important. So if you are getting messages that you are someone of certain importance and that there's a lot of information coming through, a lot of like strange information that you may think, oh, how strange, but I'm important, right? The Messiah complex is the negative entities feeding you information that you're very important and that you play a specific role and you have to do this and that. That is very misled as well. Also, if you're getting a lot of information, just a lot of information, you're being bombarded by information about who you are and who your family members are, and about different dimensional beings. Like if you're getting a lot of complex information that seems not cohesive and that doesn't make you feel at peace and that doesn't make you feel aligned, that's also an indication that you're getting false guidance. It's because of all these emails that I've been getting from a lot of people who don't have that Messiah complex, but who are telling me all these stories about all their past lives and all the different dimensions. And I can already tell when I read these emails, the energy jumps out to me that that is just false information, that is kind of hyping you up, and that's just getting you off track. Okay, so my advice to you is, if you feel that any of these things have been happening, just make a cut. Just draw the line. Just say, that's it. No more. Disattach. Do a little ritual. Say, I want everything to disattach right now. Any energies, entities, disattach. Because any kind of attachment or possession is never good. So you can do that. So I advise you to do that, and just take a break from all the psychic work, psychic stuff, guidance. Take a break from it. Just say, no, take a break. And I would just go into a state of peace and calm and groundedness. Just ground. Just come back to reality. Just come back to the present moment. Look around you. Communicate with the people around you. And just come back down to earth. And then start fresh, if you want to connect again, by just connecting to the light, without any channeling, without any information. Just connect to the light and ask for peace and calm in your heart. That's all you have to do. And if you do that for a few days, then I think you will rebalance yourself. And then you can slowly start again to build your spiritual practice. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of the false guides, and a lot of these things also happen not only to people with a lot of experience, like I mentioned Doreen Virtue. A lot of this happens to newbies. If you're pretty new to the spiritual space and you're seeking answers and you haven't really built a foundation, you haven't really done so much reading or studying or taken some meditation courses or anything like that. So that's how these negatives can easily come to you and attack, because it's like, wow, I'm getting all this information. But it's a shortcut. And like I said in my last video, there are no shortcuts. Don't take shortcuts. You have to do your work. You have to do your meditation practice. You have to do your grounding. It's really important. You have to study this. Okay, becoming a spiritual seeker or a channel or a medium or someone who connects to the other side, that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and it takes practice and it takes a foundation to do this safely. Okay, so I hope this has helped you a little bit. I hope it's made sense. Let me know what you think. Please let me know down below if any of this has happened to you. Please let me know if you feel that you have negative guides or that you have been falsely guided. And there's absolutely no shame to it. Most likely, if you are a high vibrational light worker and if you're psychically very open, it's very likely that this has happened to you. Because, like I said, negatives don't want the light workers to shine their light, and they want to pull them off their path a lot. So if you're saying, oh, but I'm very positive, I'm very psychic, I'm very high vibrational, how can this happen to you? Yes, it can. And it does happen a lot. Okay, so I just want to encourage you to really take a look at what's going on in your life, the type of guidance you're receiving, and if it feels aligned and calm and peaceful, if your heart says yes, okay, that's really, really important. Okay, thank you so much. That's enough for now. All the best. Happy spiritual seeking, safe spiritual seeking, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful holiday. Natasha, Cosmic Empress.